Okay. Uh, okay. So we are live. Before we start, let's just wait for a few more people to join in.
Okay, I'll unmute myself.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. I think we can start.
Sure.
So, hello everyone. Welcome back to another one of our weekly career classes. My name is Aditi and I'll be the host for today's live session. Thank you all for joining in. And for the topic of discussion, we'll be talking about, as you can see on your screen, we'll be talking about advancing your career in IT. And if you are someone who loves technology and wants to know more about careers in this industry, keep watching this live. And to talk about this topic, we have joining with us today as our expert speaker, Ms. Vanita Aggarwal. Thank you, ma'am, for joining in.
Thank you.
So I'll just give a brief introduction. Vanita ma'am is a digital technology leader with over 22 years of experience driving digital transformation, e-commerce, CRM, and omni-channel solution. She strategizes with customers to deliver tailored solutions, solving complex business challenges. With deep expertise across cloud, AI, and integration platform, strong communication skills, and a commitment to sustainability, Vanita ma'am enables organizations to evolve through emerging digital trends. She has partnered with leading platforms including SAP, Salesforce, and Adobe. Welcome and thank you, ma'am, for doing this live with us.
Thank you, Aditi, for having me.
So, before we start, I just want to say that if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to use the live chat box to ask your thoughts. We will be taking up the questions towards the end of the live. Let's dive right into our topic for today. Ma'am, you can take over.
Thank you, Aditi. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining in. As Aditi said, my name is Vanita Aggarwal. I hope you can see my screen. What we are going to talk about today a little bit is, what is information technology or what is IT? Um, you guys use, I mean, you are the Gen Z of today, right? You guys use a lot of mobile phones. There are a lot of apps on your phones. You are used to doing everything online, even shopping online, right? Everything that you do is online. You are used to traveling in metro systems. A lot of it has IT as well. A lot of the communications, the phones that you use, has a lot of information technology as well. Basically, information technology is everywhere. In 2021 or 2020, when the COVID started, um, there were less users, or I should say the number of users who were using online systems has gone up drastically. So even some of the companies or organizations which were smaller in size and had not invested a lot in information technology and digitization, they've done a lot of digitization post COVID because everybody understood that things are possible to do in the online mode, and there could be some circumstances where everything needs to be done online. So everything that you do, really, if you I'll be surprised to name even one thing that we do in a day which does not involve us IT, whether it is Netflix or shopping or ordering Blinkit, Zepto, Swiggy, Zomato, or booking your air tickets, everything. So there are a lot of elements of IT. We'll talk about that in a bit, but so you understand what IT is, everything, all the interfaces that you have which enable you to do anything online, that you log into your mobile or laptops or desktops, all of that is IT. Now, there is a backend to the IT as well. Again, we'll talk about that later. But really, in today's world, I cannot imagine anything in the public transport system or the telecom system or the travel system which is not driven by IT. It's definitely a field which started off maybe, in maybe the early 90s, and today it has touched almost everything that we do. It's a career which will serve you well for many, many years to come. It's not a short term career that, okay, it's a wave that will come for 5 years and it'll stop. That's not how IT is. IT will continue for ages and ages to come. And there are some trends of the IT, again, we will talk about that. You do IT always, but what you do in IT, the technologies that you use, or today, if all of you would have heard of artificial intelligence, and then now Gen AI and Chat GPT, right? Things change what we do in IT, but the IT is here to stay. It's a great career. It allows you to work from like wherever you are. It gives you travel opportunities because a lot of our customers are really outside India. You can use your communication skills very well because you talk to a lot of stakeholders to understand what they want. Really, to gather requirements from somebody and then build accordingly is itself a challenging job because somebody has to explain to you exactly what he wants. So it has a lot of great communication, roles, and we'll talk about that in a bit as well. But all in all, IT is a great career. It pays you well, gives you travel opportunities, and allows you to apply yourself well. And it always keeps you up to date and advanced because changes very soon, like a doctor or like a CA who has to continually learn because some things change every year in the budget, etc. Same way, IT is continuously changing, and it's a constant learning curve. Hence, always keeps you interested and on your toes. With that, I will dive into my first slide. So, the key three topics that we should talk about today are how to start your career in IT, and understand some of you are in school, some of you are in undergraduate, some of you are undergraduates. A few of you might already be in the field, but my main focus area is to guide people how to get into IT in such a way that they are successful in the field. What are the career opportunity for students? When I say students, I mean after you've studied, so after 10th, 11th, or graduation, or engineering, or even higher studies, what you can do, cannot do, and how to be successful in this field. I've been in this field for 22 years now. There are a few takeaways and few learnings, and things that I've learned from my leaders and my colleagues and peers that I can say with a lot of belief it will make you successful in this field. At the end, of course, if you have any questions and answers, I'd be happy to answer for you. Okay, so I've covered this already. What do you mean by information technology? Um, let me talk about how to start your days, early days in the career. Um, about myself, when I really started in school, I'd taken up sciences, and then at that time, I wanted to become an architect, like design buildings and all that. For some reason, I couldn't get into a great, great college, and I decided to do, normal accounts, BCom on or something, and I thought I'll do MBA. Instead of MBA, I ended up doing MC, and that's how my career started. But few things, even though I changed from sciences to commerce and then back to IT, one thing that really helped me was always having mathematics with me. Mathematics kind of challenges you to become analytical, logical, and keeps your aptitude sharp. So, if you are planning a career in IT, I would strongly recommend that you have subjects like mathematics or even applied mathematics, some statistics subjects or courses around you, which will easily let you switch to IT whenever you want to. Even if the graduation you're doing, I don't know, statistics honors or maths honors or something, it'll become super easy for you to go into IT. Also, because a lot of artificial intelligence today um, is using some of the algorithms which are actually taught in mathematics and statistics. So, if you are keen to have this career, do keep maths around you somewhere all the time. It'll make it easy for you to not just get into IT, but also be successful in IT. When I say maths, I actually mean that your problem solving skills and analytics skills are sharpened and challenged when you have subjects like maths or anything like so. Um, when I was young, there was a book called R.S. Aggarwal, which I think I started doing, I think in seventh or eighth. It almost like helped me through my career. During my entrances in college, then after my college, when the companies came for placement, I was a student of IMT Ghaziabad. When the companies came for placement, most of the companies actually had aptitude tests before they took you in because everybody understood that any language or any coding language can be learned. What is necessary is for a person to have a problem solving skill and having a strong aptitude, right? So, doing things like RS Agarwal, work and time statements, work and distance statements. Five people are sitting in a room. A is in front of C, D is in front, the back of D. How are they sequenced? How are they sitting together? questions like that you should continuously keep doing because they make you keep thinking. Also, all the logical reasoning, like after the sequencing, right? After A, B, C, D, what should come next? Those kind of questions also help. So, if you're preparing for IT or want to go in IT, keep trying your hands to do question solvings like these. Um, what would help you, what and what didn't help me because I'd taken commerce in my graduation, is that if you could learn something which can give you basics of computers. When I say basics of computers, so everybody uses the computer today, right? You guys chat and do Instagram and do Excel sheet and PowerPoint maybe already in school. But what would help is if you understand a little bit of networking and the operating system concepts and what artificial intelligence really is. That's today, to understand the basics or theoretical of that, you do not really need an expertise of a language as such. But if you understand how a computer works, how is the data transmitted from one point to another via networks, and when you say I have 10 gigabit RAM and a 100 gig hard drive, to understand what it really means and what is the capability of the system that you own will kind of help you appreciate and acknowledge what IT really is. Though it will not enable you to start coding, but it gives you a background and understands how things work when I hit a submit button here and then something happens in the banking system somewhere. Kind of gives you a rough idea. That will be good to know. And also, when I say IT career can broadly be divided into three areas. One area is what you do in the sense, for example, if I develop an app like Mintra or if I develop an app like Amazon, that's one kind of IT which will have a lot of interfaces which allow you to directly interact with it, and it will be largely on your phones and laptops. The other type of IT is if you have like a washing machine and you set your timers, if you have a heater and you set your timers, if you have appliances in your house which run electronically. So that is something which is called systems programming, VLSI, etc., which is a different stream altogether than application programming. It's a better paying field, or it was at least a better paying field at one point of time, but still, all the chip designing, etc., comes under that. So, if anybody understands the XOR kind of um, uh, methods, right? So, all of that are used in systems programming. Little bit more technical in the sense that this might need you to have a electronic engineering background. May not be possible for you to get into systems programming by just doing like a master's in computers, which is most programming skills and application development skills. So one is application development, other one is systems programming, third one is infrastructure. So you all of you would have heard of things are now on the cloud, right? Everything is on the cloud now. My server has some configuration. What is the size of the memory that I want? How many programs do I want installed on my cloud, on my system? All of that, Azure cloud or AWS cloud or GCP, all of these are more infrastructure related careers. Again, very well paying, very well in demand, but they use some bit of programming, but it's not like really application programming. It uses a lot of OS and networking concepts behind the scenes, whereas application is more like a layer that the end user interacts with. Okay, so there are three main streams, and it would be good if you already understood where your interests lie. If your interest lies in doing chip designing and all that, then again, it's a more specialized field. Application development is really the easiest thing to get into. The other two need a little bit more detailed and deep insights into how the computers work and how the networks work, etc. Okay. We'll go to the next slide. So, what are the career opportunities that you usually see once you get into IT? Like I was saying, programming is you know, I would say 80% of the opportunities that you see once you get into this career. When I say programming, it could be application programming, it could be systems programming, it could be infrastructure programming, but programming it is, right? So, most of the languages, if you've ever heard of Java, .NET, C, C++, PHP, all these languages and scripting languages are actually allowing you to create interfaces. And then there are mobility things like Android, iOS, all of them give you their developers SDKs, which you can use to develop. So all of them come under programming roles. And really, 90% of the people start their journey into IT with this. Very few take up different roles, which are non application development and programming roles. Yeah, R&D roles are like, when I joined IBM was my first company. When I joined IBM had a big R&D lab. Now they did things like, voice to text conversion. So when I was there, they were, holding a lot of experiments because they were tweaking an AI system to understand, to learn that if a person speaks like this, what is he really saying, whether he has an accent or not. And voice to text worked for all languages. So that they were doing in the R&D lab, and then eventually they used that lot of analysis that they did, and people they called to talk so that the system became more intelligent, that they did in their R&D lab. So most of the product development or technology development happens in R&D labs. Again, very very well paying, but very difficult to get into. When once you do get into this, of course, your more challenge is like becoming a scientist kind of a thing, right? For IT, if you do this, of course, you're more challenge. It's very interesting, and again, it keeps you 5 steps ahead of everybody else, because in R&D you're always developing something which is yet to come, right? So R&D, again, something very interesting. If you guys are keen, then go for it, but it will need much more commitment from your side, and maybe a lot of to be for you to be in the top before you get into any of those R&D labs with different organizations that have today. And all of the big organizations have R&D labs, like Google or Amazon or IBM. Everybody has an R&D lab. Then I was talking about that 90% roles are programming. Around 10 to 15% roles in the market today are also functional roles. They are still IT, but they're an interface between your end customer and the programming team. So business analysts or are people who do functional roles, as in they understand the requirement and they go to the programming team and they develop it. So they basically interface between your end customer and your technology teams. This role needs a lot of communication because, like I said, most of our clients are not India. So good English speaking skills are great. What it's again a very well paying job, but it's more relating to a business domain. So if you are doing some functional analyst role, let's say for a telecom company, you will understand a lot of their business of how telecom really works, right? It's again not technology, but knowing a technology always helps. It helps you to be better on your job, right? Last one is what I called as security roles. Now, most of you would have heard that there have been attacks on servers, and the site had gone down because there was a malicious attack. There are some viruses on the net, and you should not open the attachments that you get because it might contain a virus. To secure all of the IT to happen, it's a big thing, because without that you cannot work. You cannot use your banking systems online or make any financial transaction online. Even your personal data can be leaked. So it's a very important field again. Um, Basically all the hackers, etc., what they try to do is always try and get around the security protocols of any organization, right? So again, a very very well paying job, but again, it's not as many as the application development jobs, and needs a lot of time and specialized courses and studies to even do the application and network security roles. So but nevertheless, a very very interesting area of work if you are interested. Okay, I will go to the next slide. Be successful how? I would not say I'm super successful, but yes, I've done well. And there are some learnings that I've taken on the way. I've learned from some of my leaders how they've been successful. One thing is that always please keep learning. But why I say that is that on an average, in every 3 years, the whole technology stack changes. So, what was the way of working before? So, like pure Java was there earlier, if some of you understand IT a bit, right? Then came frameworks like Spring. They inbuilt some functionality already on top of Java. Java was, anyhow, a lot of libraries and code functionalities built together. Then came Spring. Spring used Java but built a lot of interfaces and functionalities around it. It called itself as a framework, so Spring Breaker framework. And then came platforms like SAP Commerce. SAP Commerce used Spring and built a lot of functionality on top of Spring, but fundamentally everything was still Java. Um, I don't remember any point in my time in IT, especially now, that I haven't been learning something constantly. And not learning is not an option in IT. I've seen some people who start their career like they're 3 years experience, 4 year experience, and they're like, no, no, I work in this particular area. I want to work only in this area, and I don't want to move outside of it. That will not serve you well because the technology field changes very quickly. If you stick on one technology, it will become old and useless at some point in time, so you will have to change it, and then you will struggle to find a good job. What still is true is that the fundamentals do not change, right? So if you've learned object oriented programming, you understand completely what is an object oriented programming language, or what is a relational database, etc. Those concepts would not change, but the technology, the overlying platforms that are created will change continuously. So generally in IT also, and in life, I would say keep learning. It will help you to be successful. Strong communication, I touched upon this a bit. IT is a special field where you are talking a lot to your customers who are usually never in India. Okay, 80 to 90% of the work of any IT company, like anything like Accenture, Capgemini, I'm a part of EPAM. 80 to 90% of my work comes from clients who are outside India and has to be done remotely. Now, communication becomes a key, not just if you are a functional consultant or a BA, business analyst, or all. Their communication skills are super important. But even if you're not, to do your basic email writing, telling the person what's my problem, or showcasing what you've done needs a fair sense of communication. So, strong communication skill will always help you, especially as you grow up the ladder. I mean, 90% of what I do today really is meetings and creating presentations and Excel sheets, etc. Right? So, um, the stronger you are in communication, the better you have a chance to be successful in your career. And I would say code a lot in the start of your career. When I started my career, I didn't get a chance to code too much, and I always feel that because of that, I'm a little bit of slow coder. But the more you code, the more you understand the challenges of coding and what could go wrong, even when you grow senior and you're just designing the system and not coding, right? So code a lot in your career. Use extensive testing techniques to break your code so that you learn how to write best code. It will serve you well even when you grow to an architect or when you grow into a program manager or something. Having good basic coding fundamentals will help everybody. So if you do get into IT, first few years try to just do coding. Don't get into functional consultant roles or non-technology roles in the start of your career. Do a lot of coding, become strong, and then 5 6 years down the lane you can do whatever you need. Also, today it is very important to understand a particular domain. So you can know Java, you can be the best in Java, but at some point in time, Java will be used to develop something. So I talked about SAP Commerce. It's a platform. It's a commerce platform. It allows you to create e-commerce websites like Myntra, etc. Right? Now, having a strong domain knowledge like e-commerce is a domain, or customer relationship management is a domain, or mobility, designing mobile applications is some kind of a domain, right? So try and get strong in one of the domains, and it'll help you to get the right job, and you will be able to deliver more value if you understand what you're doing, right? And it'll when you grow in future, it'll also help you to easily change into functional roles if you want to do that. The last thing is, a lot of people today, a lot of um, new gen today, right? They just start coding and they're very happy coding, but they don't understand why they are coding. What is the return of investment that my customer will get with the product that I'm building for them, or the website that I'm building for them? So my request or advice to all of you is also that when you do start working for customers, try to understand the end intent of what you are building. The intent of what you're building will tell you why, and it'll instill in you a sense of pride for sure, but it'll also help you to understand why I'm doing this for my customer. And in some point of time, if you think the customer wants A and what I'm doing is not going to give the customer A, then you can obviously try and tell the customer that, guys, I think what you're wanting is very different from what you're asking us to do, because in IT, the technology expert understands things differently. the customers are not always very tech savvy people, right? So try and understand the business of your customer. It will also give you some insights into in the industry domain. So e-commerce was more like a technology domain, and telecom or retail or manufacturing or life sciences, all of these are industry domains. So having one good industry domain knowledge also serves you very well. It kind of adds value to your just the coding part. It adds more value to you because you now understand an industry domain and you understand a technology domain. So do that. It'll help. It'll give you an edge over others. That's all I had for you now. So Aditi, we're almost half an
Yes,
hour
ma'am.
into the meeting, right?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a few questions.
Sure.
So, if you could answer that. So, one of the questions that I got, we had collected a few questions from students. We have a few questions in the chat box also. We'll get to that. But before that, I have a few questions. So, the first question was, what are the some key mistakes you see young people making early in their IT careers? And if you would have any advice that you would, give to them so that they can avoid those mistakes.
I think one I alluded to a little bit. People don't code much sometimes when they get into IT. So, one advice is early in the career, code a lot. Second is don't change jobs too often in the beginning of your career. Stay, uh, understand the best practices of not just developing an application but also deploying it, also supporting it. Once it goes live, it might have minor bugs and maintenance issues, and you support it. So understand the end to end life cycle of the work that you're trying to do. Like I said, also understand what it will give to the customer, and then stay for an organization too long, because being in an organization makes you understand the how do you say, the crux of what you are trying to do, and what are the best practices that an organization gives. So very big organizations like, for example, IBM or Wipro or TCS, Infosys, they have their own frameworks of delivery. They have their own frameworks of writing best code. They have their own smaller products, etc. So till the time you stay for an organization for long, you are not able to take the essence of the organization with you and learn. There's also a very famous saying, right? Rolling stone gathers no moss. It kind of helps you to learn something, take the best practices of each organization, and then move on. So 4 or 5 years, try not to change the jobs too often. Of course, there could be exceptional reasons why do you want to change, but generally try and take the essence of an organization with you. And lastly, I think the learning part I said before, sometimes people stick and think that we are getting experts in one technology, we should not leave the technology. There's no point doing that because the technology is not going to be around for more than 3 4 years anyhow. So be open to changing, and once you have the fundamentals right, learning any new thing is very easy. uh, every new thing builds on the fundamentals of older technologies. So get the fundamentals right, but don't shy away from learning. I think some of the mistakes people make, and then, yeah, they are not very well valued in the organization. So try not to do all that.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Uh, the next question that I have is, how competitive is the IT job market right now? And if you have any tips to, to stand out for students who want to get into the career and land their first IT role.
So it is competitive, even though I think we have around, I don't know, maybe a crore of people in the IT industry today. Um, Still there is a supply gap. Okay, so there's a demand supply, right? So the demand of IT people is there, and the supply, you have hundreds of colleges doing computer sciences and data courses and AI courses, etc. But still there is a huge gap in the demand and supply of IT professionals. So for sure, it's high in demand. What the challenge becomes is that sometimes people get into jobs which are more, I mean, they get into a job too quickly without understanding the technology a lot. Like a lot of people today say, okay, we are AI experts, we've done data, we'll get into AI, but they don't really understand the fundamentals, and then they're not successful. So to to be more successful and to have an edge, try to learn newer things that are there in the market today. AI is here to stay. I mean, I did my, I think, MC in 2000, and at that time also we were talking about neural networks. And today, AI and Gen AI uses a lot of neural networks, right? So um, it is very competitive, but to have an edge, be very, very strong in the area of your work and try to learn some of the buzzwords that are there in the industry today. AI and Gen AI being definitely some of the few that will give you an edge and make you stand a little bit apart, and then maybe give you better salaries, etc.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. The next question that I have is, what soft skills have served you well and helped you progress through leadership ranks in your IT career?
Um, I General communication, of course, English speaking, but I think the fact that when you are talking to anybody, and especially as you grow senior in your career, to understand other person's point of view and not get into argument, but to give a solution which serves everybody well has is a good thing to have. Now, good communication is great, but a little bit of empathy with, and you will get into a lot of challenges, right? Sometimes you have to deliver something by such and such date, things are not ready, people are needing to stretch and work long hours, and they do that, and they lose, sometimes somebody loses school, somebody is rude. So managing of a situation, not losing the cool, understanding other person's point of view, becoming empathetic, having empathy are some of the things generally which always help you. It serves you well. There are soft skills which serve you well, and tomorrow when you become a leader, it people really respect you if you have these things. I mean, frankly speaking, if you don't have these skills, you can never become a leader. So these things will serve you well. It has served me well, and sometimes there will be, like, in our industry and in every industry we say, right, customer is the king. There'll be many challenges that you will face when the customer is actually not right. It's a king means obviously he's going to pay you, so he's the king in that sense. But sometimes the customer is not right. To manage those situations, with a cool head, without losing temper or doing something, having a knee-jerk reaction and doing something wrong, um, handling that bit of complicated situations has also served me well. And if you guys look at other person's point of view, understand what he's saying, very rarely are people unreasonable. They will also understand, but I've seen a lot of people getting into a conflict mode or argumentative mode, either with the customer or with the team, never helps. So try and think from the other person's perspective. That will really push you to get a solution which serves everybody well. Because if a solution only serves your interest, it's not a solution, right? The other person is not happy. So that helps. Of course, communication helps, being empathetic helps.
Okay, okay, thank you, ma'am. That's all the questions that I had. We can get into we have got a few questions in the comment section. I'll just go through it. The first question is, uh, what certifications would you recommend me to focus on now to prepare for an IT career?
If you're trying to get into IT and coding, basic Java certifications help. So SCGP is what we used to do. Java Sun certification is what we used to do a lot at our days. Some basic Gen AI learning courses would also help. Some basic networking courses would also help. So, technology coding, if you want, look for any coding language of your choice and try to do a certification in that. And then also try to understand what is data and what is AI and all that. And at least theoretically, because implementing AI would take a long time for you, but theoretically try to understand the concepts of what it is, and try to do one certification or one course of AI as well. And then there is Gen AI, which is again different, but it wouldn't harm you if you also try to do some training or certification of Gen AI. So it'll at least give you the right platform to start asking for a job, because now you know the basics that are needed to get into your IT career.
Right. Okay. I hope Mohit, you got your answer. Um, Varidhi has asked, can a commerce student with maths pursue a career in IT?
Yeah, I did that myself. Yes, you can. You can apply for, masters in computers if you want now, or you can do some courses with what is that? I've forgotten. One year courses. It's called. I'm forgetting the name now. Um, there are. It's an entrance test, and you can do that 1 year of course. It's a very well um, respected course. I'm forgetting the name now. You can do that, or you can do some courses from NIT, Aptech, and all of those IT institutes that are there. As long as you have maths and you've learned a little bit of coding and you have some certifications, etc., it'll be easy for you to apply. And then, for anybody starting, if you are in a college which does not have placement into IT companies, then you will have to somehow ensure that you get some basic experience before somebody gives you a job. So try and see that if any institute you go to, or if any course that you're doing has some kind of placement or training, on the job training kind of options, that will help you well. Else it will be difficult for you to find your first break. But definitely, if you've commerce with maths, uh, you can get into IT.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Varidhi, for asking the question. Shazam has asked, ma'am, how is IT different from CS?
Computer science, you mean? Okay.
Yes.
um I am not sure. So there are two types. So uh, one course is like they concentrate more on application programming, like MCA rather always did. Some of the computer sciences programs, they give you insights into system programming as well. So what you have to do is look at the curriculum of both the IT engineering. If somebody says it's IT engineering or this is computer science engineering, look at the curriculum for both. I think the difference is that CS is more focused on how the computers are built, the OS of the computers, the networking concepts, and then a lot of system programming concepts, and then in the last, one or two programming languages. Whereas I think IT would probably be more focused on programming languages. But I can't say till the time I compared the curriculums of both the courses. But see, and then if you have a question, yeah, just drop on the chat.
Okay. The next question is from Sonia. She asks, how important is getting internship experience while still in school for breaking into the IT industry? And what makes a student stand out when applying?
So it helps, right? I mean, I was saying that if you are doing your studies from an institute which does not offer placement, definitely some experience helps. So but it's not like a make or break. Most institutes like EPAM also, right? It has an elaborate program for freshers when we bring them from colleges. So most organizations have their fresher programs, and it does not matter if you have a um, 2 month or 3 month training program that you've done with some organization before, but it helps. It gives you an edge. So let's assume that you've been in an organization for 2 months or 3 months and you've done some programming and deployments and you understand a bit. So when you come into the organization where you're working like full time after your studies, you already understand a little bit and you pick up things easier. But it's not nothing which is like absolutely needed. Um, yeah, if you have time, do it. um, but it's not like a must to have. And to stand out in a group, right, as in having somebody as an edge, I think the little bit of knowledge and working knowledge and certifications help. It kind of certifications do not mean that you're very intelligent, but it means that you already know something, right? If you've done some courses on AI or Gen AI, you already understand some of the terminologies people use, which some people may not understand because they've not done certifications, etc. So smaller things give you an edge, and then if you are able to ask and articulate your questions well, which is a part of having good communication skills, that will always help as well. Because what I've noticed is a lot of people shy away from asking questions. But in the beginning of your career, if you do not understand anything, I'm not saying ask questions just for the heck of it, but if you do not understand something and you ask a question, that will also serve you well, because everybody will understand that this individual not only is trying to understand, if not understanding, she's also able to ask the questions in a nice, articulative way, and has good communication skills. So all those things help. Of course, if you are a great hard worker and you somebody gives you a small job to do and you do a little bit more, that will also help. But one more thing which I think I didn't mention till now is that there's something called a delivery methodology, which means how you deliver your projects. In When I started my career, we used to call that something as a waterfall. It was more sequential. Okay, you do analysis, you do planning, you do development, you do whole of testing, and then you do whole of deployment. It was a phase and sequential way. Now there's something called as agile mode of methodology of delivery. So understanding some of the agile concepts of delivery is also helpful. There are some courses, generally you'll be taught this in your MC or the programs that you do as well. But if not, doing some courses to understand the agile delivery methodology, that also helps, because most organizations today use the agile ways of working to deliver the projects that they are working for the customers.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I think we have one last question, and that is, ma'am, is hacking ethical?
Hacking is actually a career. Companies, strong network companies and product companies hire hackers to break the system. I was mentioning this earlier as well, right? My nephew was very keen to have a career in hacking. Depends on which side of the system you are, uh, as a hacker. If you are on the other side, where you're, you know, helping the product company to find the vulnerabilities in their product, that's an ethical thing to do. And you're paid for it knowingly, everybody admires you. But if you are trying to break into somebody's data, do a fraud or hack just for the heck of it and bring discomfort to other people, disruption, etc., of course it is unethical. Um, uh, I mean, yeah, if you have strong analytical skills, if you're very sharp on finding bugs, etc., there are programs for hacking, etc. Um, it's a great career choice, an ethical and good career choice. So I hope you'll always stay on the right side of doing hacking and not go to people who want to, pull data and disrupt the working of IT systems, etc. But yeah, in most situations, it is ethical.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for answering that question. So I think with that, we've come towards the end of the session. We've covered all the questions. So before we end this live, ma'am, I would like to thank you for sharing your experience with us and your journey with our audience.
Thank you.
And I hope that we've answered all the question and you've got your questions cleared out. But if you still have any more questions, or you will have once like later if you watch this live, you can ask. You can see a QR on your screen. Please scan this QR and it'll take you to our web app. There you'll be able to see our asking anything option where you can get answers directly from our expert counselors. So you can go ahead and explore. uh, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below to stay updated and never miss our weekly career classes. We do these weekly career classes every Saturday at 4 p.m. So you can join the session. And thank you for joining the live today.
Thank you, everybody,
Thank
for
you, ma'am.
listening in. Thank you, Aditi,
Thank you,
for
ma'am.
coordinating this. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Same here, ma'am. Same here.
Aditi, I'll stop sharing my screen.